Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So real quick, I wanted to talk about what I think is going on with some of the people around the country and how people are going to be woefully unprepared for what is going on. You might be one of them. Okay, I'm just kidding. If you're watching this channel, you're probably not one of them. If you have not subscribed, you might be. So go ahead and subscribe so that you can ensure that you're not one of those people that remain unprepared for this. But okay, so we've talked about a lot of what's going on, but here's what kind of inspired me to do this video, right? Y'all know we run a home inspection business here in Birmingham, and we stay pretty in tune to what's going on with the housing market. That's not really what I want to talk about. We're going to put kind of a pin in that for a second. And what I wanted to do is just talk about the anecdotal of what I'm seeing. Okay, so this is not the statistics, this is not the data, this is the anecdotal. So I go into people's houses all day long. I do between 2 and 3 houses a day, depending on how busy we are. And I'm trying personally to do less home inspections and less property inspections. I still hold the commercial license, so I do all the commercial stuff for our company. But my goal is to have most of our inspectors doing all the home inspections where I can alleviate myself of that, but and focus on growing the business. But I still do a number of them. I do several hundred a year. And what I noticed going into people's houses is what kind of scares me on this. So I went into a house today and go into this house, do the inspection, and one of the things that you have to check for like leaks in the ceiling and stuff like that. So you're checking for stains on the ceiling, and so you open up all the closets and you end up looking in there. So it always kind of bothers me because I feel like I'm digging through people's personal stuff, especially obviously when it's occupied. So I open up the pantry. I'm looking up at the ceiling, making sure that there's no leaks up there. And now this pantry is maybe 2 foot wide by 1.5 feet deep. Very, very small pantry. And that pantry was maybe half full, and pretty much everything that was in there was condiments of some sort. So like maybe some bags of chips, croutons, and then, like ketchup, mayo, stuff like that, right? So like really nothing of any substantial value. Okay, so one of the other things that we do, so most inspection companies around here don't do this, but we check all the appliances, specifically the kitchen appliances. We want to make sure that everything's working and everything's functioning when they move in. And so we take an IR scan actually of the refrigerator, and so we open it up and scan it, and so we can show that yes, this side was cooling, this side was cooling more because it's the freezer, etc. And so I opened up this refrigerator today, and over in the freezer they pretty much got some frozen pizzas, and then over on the refrigerator side, it's like Mountain Dew, a can of Milo sweet, or a big old jug of Milo sweet tea, and condiments. There's very, very little food. And I was talking to my wife about this, and I said, this is something that I see all the time. I see houses like this. Probably 70% of the houses I see are in this category. There's some where obviously somebody likes to cook and they have a bigger stockpile, and then every once in a while you come across the prepper's house where okay, these guys have their stuff together. But these houses and these people are completely unprepared for anything to happen. Even if they have a savings account, their savings account is dwindling and becoming worthless. There's no gold or silver. There's no guns. There's no gun safe. There's no food in the house. There's nothing to prepare them. And the fact that they don't have food is what's really concerning, because that is going to be the thing that exacerbates every other issue, right? If you have food, there's a lot of things that you can deal with, and as long as you're fed and happy, there's a lot of things that you can deal with. You can find a way to pay your mortgage. You can find a way to pay your light bill, or you can turn the light bill off. It's not the end of the world if you have food. And so it's scary how many people are in that situation, because those are the people that are going to be waiting in lines looking for food and trying to scrounge to find it. And it's not that they're scumbags, not that they're stupid, it's that they're just ignorant on the topic. And so I wanted to go over what we're seeing today, right? What news sources we're seeing today. And so right now we're seeing food shortages in Louisiana, right? There's shrimping shortages, and we think, okay, shrimp's a luxury, shrimp's not that big a deal, but the shrimp is a big deal because it is, if we look at it like U.S. as a net calorie, right? So how many calories does it take to feed this? Every time we move that away, even if it's not something that you eat, I don't care if you're allergic to shellfish or whatever, if it's not something that you eat, it doesn't matter. We're still taking away from that net calorie. So those people have to supplement with something else, and maybe that something else is something that you eat. Also, we put jobs out of business when we do that. So those shrimping jobs, they end up going out of business because of the diesel prices right now. One thing that's very scary is, okay, so we know all the fires, so I'm not covering all that. I'll leave that to other channels to kind of cover all these massive amount of food plant fires and stuff like that. But the heat stress that is killing cattle right now. This is really substantial, and this is really scary, and it's going to get worse, actually. And we don't think about this, but humans are not the only ones that are subject to heat stress, and cattle are very subject to it, especially black cows, right? So black cows absorb more heat. There's been lots of data, lots of studies on this that like Charolais do a lot better than an Angus because they're a white cow versus a black cow, and they don't absorb that heat from the sky near as much, and they'll put on weight better. And so the cattle is one thing that's very, very scary. So Amanda Lynn found 2 stories looking for about 2 minutes. She found 2 stories, one with 10,000 head of cattle dead in Kansas, and another one with 3,000 head of cattle dead in Kansas. That is a ton of cows, guys. 13,000 cows, that is a lot of cattle, and that's just what she found looking for 2 minutes. So this is not going away. We are just entering the hottest part of the year. So here in Alabama, it is roasting. It is cooking. I hate wearing shorts. I'm wearing shorts all the time, guys. It is hot, and the cows are, especially feedlot cows, have no cover. They have no way of getting out of this, and they're very susceptible to this. They also tend to have a lot of poor water quality, which exacerbates the issue. They deal with the same things that we do with electrolyte loss, so that they can get dehydrated even if they're drinking plenty of water because they don't have electrolytes. Speaking of that, I need to go get some for my cows. So, but there's 13,000 head of cattle dead in central Kansas in overnight, right? This is substantial. Now, to give you guys some ideas on this, so when a cattle truck is shipped, so those big 18-wheelers that you see that have cattle on them, those have about 80,000 pounds of cattle on them, and it's going to be in various stages, whether they're weaned or yearlings, or whether they're ready to go to the feedlot, and they're grass-fed steers ready for finishing at the feedlot. There's different capacity, or they could be going to the processing and be done. So there's different numbers of cows that go in there, but it's about 80,000 pounds of cow. So to kind of give you an idea of how much cows are on one of those, so if it's 80,000 pound of cows, if you have 1,000 cows, it's 80 cows on there. So that is a lot of 18-wheelers down worth of dead cattle. Now this exacerbates itself because we don't know the data on those cows, how many of them are pregnant mamas that are going to be giving birth later on this year or next year, and we don't know the data on that, so we don't know how many of those were kind of a double hit versus how many of those were just hit for this year. So again, it affects the meat prices right now. It really affects the meat prices next year. 2023 is going to be rough. It's going to be hard to find food. It's going to be expensive food. Get stocked up now. This is, we have stopped all investments to get food aside. Y'all should be doing the same. Getting your food, well, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not going to tell you that, but get your food in place. It is a great time to invest when the market's down. It's an even better time to eat when the market's down. So making sure that you have the ability to do that is going to be paramount to your success. You can deal with a lot of other things. You can get through a lot of other things as long as you have food. Do not be like these people that are not stocked up, that have nothing in their pantry, that can't make it through the weekend without going to the grocery store. That is a big problem. Every time we have a bad storm rolling here in the South, everybody that lives down here, y'all know what goes empty in the stores, right? It's milk and bread. Every single time, milk and bread disappears, but especially that bread aisle, it's all gone. It's because people want to make sandwiches and stuff like that, and they know they can live on PB&J sandwiches for a couple days. And so it always mind boggles me that these people are like flocking to the stores to get all this stuff, and again, the crazies come out and flood the stores to get everything. Don't be in that group. You don't want to be in that group, no matter what the issue is. Whether we have economic turmoil, whether we have another pandemic call, like right with monkeypox, it doesn't really matter what the reason is. We don't want to be in that group. Certainly don't want to be in that group if there's another pandemic, because the next one might be more serious, and we don't want to be around all those people and subjecting ourselves to that. So keep that in mind, guys. But again, make sure you're not in that group. Like and subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so, guys. That really helps me out. It's a great way to give back. The channel is growing leaps and bounds. It is all thanks to you. So, you know, I've had a ton of help from Economic Ninja. He has been wonderful to us. Chris over at Financial Prepper has been awesome. Travis on Site Traffic, y'all haven't checked out his channel. All of those three guys have been absolutely wonderful to us. Y'all know John Stoney Rich Farmer came on. Even Prepper Princess had given me a few tips on running a channel. So I can't thank those channels enough for all the work that they've done just to help us get off the ground. But we are growing leaps and bounds, and it is because of you guys. So I really appreciate y'all watching. Really appreciate y'all liking, subscribing, sharing the videos. It just makes a huge difference. We will catch y'all tomorrow.